How's it going? My name is Jumpy. Today I'm going to talk about the 2024 remake of Speak No Evil. For this video, I'm going to go through the entire movie and recap what happens with my reactions I had when I was watching it. I'm going to spoil everything. I've done this before with my Saw series retrospective, but if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, this isn't what they're normally like. If you haven't seen Speak No Evil and are even moderately interested in seeing it for yourself, I enjoyed it enough to recommend it, so go check it out and then come back here. I have not seen the original movie that came out a couple years before the remake, so I can't vouch for it, but it's probably good too. Before I watched the 2024 version, I hadn't seen the trailers. When Mackenzie Davis's name pops up in the credits, I thought, wait, is Mackenzie Davis who I think she is? At a resort hotel in Italy, there's a family on vacation at a pool, consisting of mom, who calls herself Louise, a dad who goes by Ben, and a daughter named Agnes. Louise is played by Mackenzie Davis, and she's exactly who I thought she was. She was on a show I've seen called *Halt and Catch Fire*. It's not bad. It took me a little while to recognize the dad, Ben, but he was also on *Halt and Catch Fire*. He's Scoot McNairy. I blanked on his name, so I didn't recognize it in the opening credits. He was also in Argo, and I love that movie. A man named Patrick, also known as Patty, played by James McAvoy, walks over and asks if he can have the chair next to Ben. He moves a book and rabbit stuffed animal named Hoppy off it, and McAvoy fucking loudly drags it away to his family. And then he jumps into the pool by doing a flip and then a cannonball. The movie is overtly setting him up to be obnoxious. Later, Louise and Ben leave Agnes with a woman when they go out, and they establish how much Agnes loves the Hoppy plush toy. They see Patty and his wife Kira dancing in their underwear in the window, and then they go out to eat. There's another guest who's Danish and bores them talking about his cooking class. McAvoy is there and signals to Ben that he also doesn't enjoy hearing about the aspiring chef. Afterwards, the kid loses the rabbit that she calls her quote-unquote worry bunny, which helps her keep calm. Ben walks around asking for it, and he sees McAvoy and his family riding around on a scooter McNairy. Ben eventually finds his wife and his daughter. They're with the McAvoys. Their kid is named Ant, and he can't talk because he has a condition where he was born with a smaller tongue. He found Hoppy. Patty takes Agnes for a ride on the scooter, despite Ben and Louise not being sure about it at first. Really, not just because they had no helmets, but it's an awful idea just letting your kid out with a stranger, even if they just go around the block. They all go out to eat. Ben's family is American and are from Chicago. He was going to head an office for his company in London, but those plans fell apart, and they decided to stay there. He says they love it, but Louise's expression shows that she doesn't. Boy howdy, I love that detail. Louise also mentions here that she's a vegetarian, which comes up again later. Patty McAvoy reveals that he's a doctor, and he invites the other family to hang out with them at his home at some point. Agnes asks if she and Ant can go play on a swing, and Louise says yes. Kira asks Agnes if she wants dessert, and Louise says that Agnes already had ice cream and can't have more today. Patty calls her tough, and she gives a surprised expression because it was rude of him to question her parenting like that. The Danish man and his wife show up, and McAvoy gets his attention and frankly asks him if he scrunches or folds his toilet paper when he wipes his ass. He then says what he, his wife, Ben, and Louise all prefer. His plan works, and he scares the man off from joining them and possibly talking to them or anyone else ever again. The scene in the movie is awkward and funny, but admittedly, McAvoy took a big risk here. This very easily could have backfired if the other guy had strong opinions on the matter. And suddenly they're talking about wiping for the rest of the day. And the others have to commit to what McAvoy made up about their preferences, regardless of whether they're true or not. A while after Ben, Louise, and Agnes get back to London, Ben and Louise's marriage problems continue. Ben's trouble finding a job, and them disagreeing on how to raise their daughter. They get a postcard from Patty and Kira, inviting them to come visit them in the countryside. They decide to go and drive out to the farm for a week. They get there and give Aunt a football as a present. Louise is immediately uncomfortable. They forgot she's a vegetarian, or deliberately ignore that, and shove meat in her face. So she pretends to eat it, but spits it out when they're not looking. Also, she's concerned about Aunt making noises upstairs, and she's suspicious of the dirty sheets and the house. It's good foreshadowing and characterization, and I really like Mackenzie Davis's performance. But at this point in the movie, I'm wondering if McAvoy is going to be evil, or if that guy they got rid of with the toilet paper question is going to show up and be evil, or if another person is going to be evil. I don't think the kid is evil. Aunt tried to communicate with Ben, but he just couldn't talk. Ben and Louise have a sweet moment together in their bedroom when they're talking, and he touches her knee and she grabs his arm. Agnes shows up and opens the door because she can't sleep. Ben suggests getting her breathing app and sending her back to her room. But Louise tells Agnes that she can stay there and use the app that has a bunny in it that helps her sleep. Ben is not happy, and you can tell by his expression that he thought something might happen between him and his wife. Everybody lives through the night, so I think they're going to be okay. The next day, they all go for a walk in the woods. Dr. Patty talks about shooting a fox that they see, and Louise doesn't like guns, causing a short argument. Then Agnes wants to use a swing. She loves those swings. But Aunt is standing in the way, so Patty really aggressively pulls Aunt aside and then makes the kid push Agnes. They go to some water, and Patty tells them to jump in. Louise has concerns about it being safe, which is reasonable. I'd have Patty jump in first before doing anything. But Ben jumps in with Agnes at the same time as Patty and Aunt. Aunt has a lot of trouble swimming, so it's odd that Patty made him jump. When they get back to the house, Louise wants to leave, but Kira invites them out to dinner. Louise accepts. A guy named Mooj comes over to babysit the kids. Again, Louise has concerns about the situation, but Ben thinks everything is fine leaving their child with a stranger and tells her that they should go. When they get to a restaurant that's run by a guy named Mike, Louise reminds them that she's a vegetarian, or more precisely, a pescatarian, which is a vegetarian who eats fish. Dr. Patty and Louise clash again, this time about ethical fishing practices. Back at the house, the kids play hide and seek. Aunt shows Agnes some watches in a drawer, and he pulls one out to show her the inscription on the back. But it's not in English, so she can't read it. At this point, I'm really intrigued by where this movie is going. Back at the restaurant, Patty and Kira talk about how they have sex every day and roleplay. And then they start acting it out while she appears to perform oral sex on him under the tablecloth, before they reveal that they're just pretending. Afterwards, they need to pay for the food. Patty sees the bill and says it's expensive. Ben offers to pitch in, and Patty says thanks and leaves, making Ben pay for all of it. I thought that was pretty funny how much of an asshole Patty is here. Before the parents return, Aunt shows Agnes that he has scars under his shirt. Later on, Ben and Louise fight. She brought up that they don't have sex that often at dinner, and we learn now that she had sexted with another man. She left her entire life behind to move to Europe. And he's angry about his job, among other things. It's a really well done scene. To cap it all off, sometime during this argument, Patty shows up and starts watching them through the stained glass window on the door and listening. It's so creepy realizing he's there and seeing him sneak off at the end of the scene. McAvoy howdy, I love that detail. Louise wakes up in the middle of the night and checks on Agnes, but she's not in her room with Aunt. I don't have kids, and I don't want to have kids, so I won't ever be in this scenario, and it's still really scary to me. Louise finds Agnes in bed with Patty and Kira. She gets her kid, carries her back to Ben, and tells him they're getting out of there, which is a wonderful idea. They pack and hit the road, but Agnes realizes she doesn't have Hoppy. She gets upset and kicks the back of Ben's seat, which distracts him, and they almost get into a head-on collision with a semi. She says they're going to hurt Hoppy like they hurt Ant. They turn around and go back. Now, on one hand, this is a terrible idea, but Agnes is very upset and doesn't want a replacement rabbit. And I understand why the characters decide to return for Hoppy, even if I really don't like it. In a suspenseful sequence without music, they arrive, and Ben goes in hoping that Patty and Kira aren't awake yet. A moment later, Louise follows. There's a shot of Ben walking that's from inside the house looking out at him, and it's repeated when Louise walks by. We get a great jump scare when she opens the door, and Ben is standing right there talking to Patty in the kitchen. Kira walks in, and Patty wants to know why they left. Ben makes up an excuse about how Agnes doesn't like sleeping on the floor, and Louise puts her foot down and tells the truth, that it's weird that Agnes was in Patty and Kira's bed. Kira tells them that she had a daughter that passed away as a newborn, and that's why she's so protective as a mother, and that Agnes was alone and crying out for her parents. So she stepped in to try to comfort the kid. Agnes didn't listen to her mom to stay in the car, and she went looking for Hoppy by herself. And she comes into the room telling them that Ant found Hoppy for the second time. Louise, Ben, and Agnes stay. God damn it. The family wants an appointment, and Dr. McAvoy is like, I might be able to pencil you in. Ant writes Agnes a note, but it's not in English, so she can't read it. She should just use her phone's translator app. Although it might get it wrong, and I don't know, maybe it'll say it means dog snoring. His mom comes over, and Ant eats the note to get rid of it. Delicious. Agnes tries to warn her mom. Patty takes Ben out to shoot a fox. Ben can't kill little fox Munch, and Patty tells him that he overheard the argument and about the sexting. Patty then screams and tells Ben to do the same to let it out. And he does. There's more awkwardness when they return, and Patty says that he's not really a doctor, and then says he's joking. And then Kira tells Agnes what and how to eat. And Louise doesn't like someone else parenting her child. The kids made up a dance and show it to their parents. And Patty doesn't like how Ant is dancing and ruins it for them. Louise wants to leave, and Patty passes out. Kira asks them to stay until Patty wakes up. Ant steals some keys from Patty and takes Agnes to a room that's underground and accessible by hidden stairs on the floor that are covered by hay. Inside there are lots of bags and shoes and phones and pictures of his parents with other people. He finally gets through to Agnes. There's a picture of Patty and Kira with another kid, sitting next to another couple of adults with Ant sitting in front of them. These are his real parents. In the picture, Ant is sticking out his tongue. Ant points at the picture, then opens his mouth and hand signals that they cut out his tongue. He shows her a picture of her family to let her know that they're next. Agnes takes some pics with her phone, and they leave and try to cover the doors with the hay. She grabs the football and asks her dad if he wants to play catch, and he says he needs to finish his coffee first. She's probably thinking, but you played halt and catch with Mom for years, Dad. And then she runs off all sad. Ant goes back to Patty's room. Patty is already awake, and it's really tense when he tries to give Patty back his keys without getting caught. He is successful when he asks for a piggyback ride. And Patty does it as an act to pretend that they made up. They are not the only ones pretending. Agnes intentionally cuts her leg to pretend to have her first period, so she can get her mom to go to the bathroom with her and show her the pictures and explain what happened. This plan is convoluted, and it works. Unfortunately, Patty notices that the evidence room doors aren't fully covered, so he knows something's up. Louise doesn't just say, "Let's leave your dad and get out of here." She goes and lies to Ben to get him to come and fill him in. Louise finds a box cutter and tells them that they need to act like everything is fine, but they can't, so they keep up the period act and use that as their cover for being stressed out. They walk out and see Patty on the phone, and there's another good jump scare where Kira is hiding and standing against the wall by the room's entryway, and they don't see her until they walk by into the room and she says hello. Jump Skira. There's another short, suspenseful scene when they talk, and then Patty and Kira walk them out to their car. But they have a flat tire. They try to pretend it's fine and drive off, but Patty says out loud that he sees it and can fix it, so they go along with it. Ben follows Patty back when he gets some tools and then fixes the tire. He asks Agnes if they have everything, and Agnes notices Hoppy on the roof in the gutter. Agnes says she wants to go, but Ben keeps up the act and says that they can't. Patty grabs a ladder and tells Ben to climb up because he has longer arms, while Patty holds the ladder. God damn it. This is so ridiculous, but the family is in so deep and doesn't want to give away that they know. So it's understandable, but so stressful to watch. After Patty shakes the ladder a bit and pretends that it's an accident or Ben's fault, Ben gets to the top and throws down Hoppy to Patty, and the rabbits cut open, and he hands it to the sad girl. This is so mean how he's torturing this family. They talk for a minute, and Ben asks Aunt to walk over and open the gate for them, so that they can get him away from the couple and drive him away to safety. But unfortunately, Patty has a remote to open the gate. They start to drive off, planning to come back for Aunt, and Agnes sees them throw Aunt into the lake. Ben gets out and goes after the kid, but Patty closes the gate before Louise can get past it. By the time Ben saves Aunt, Patty and Kira have Louise and Agnes out of the car and have guns pointed at them. Afterwards, Patty and Kira make Louise transfer all their money to them, have arrangements with Mike, the guy who runs the restaurant they visited, who's already sold the family's car, and plan to have Ben and Louise send messages that they're moving back to the United States. And we get to the best line in the movie. Ben asks, "Why are you doing this?" And Patty answers, "Because you let us." Patty prepares to sedate Agnes with a syringe so he can cut out her tongue, so they can use her to lure in the next couple. And Louise cuts Patty's face with the box cutter. Agnes grabs the syringe. Ben grabs the box cutter and uses it to free himself and the kids. Louise gets the gun from Kira. Kira claims that she was Patty's first victim when she was a little girl, but they don't believe it. They lock the murderous couple in and get in their car and try to drive off, but they run into Mike with a gun. Mike thinks, "Hey, that car's not yours anymore. I sold it." And then he shoots the windshield and Ben backs up. They retreat into the house and barricade themselves, while Mike frees Dr. Patty and Kira. Louise gets on the phone and dials 999, but it's not the morphogenetic field. They say it's emergency services, but I guess it could be a morphogency services. Either way, the villains cut the line before she can explain what's going on. Ben panics and realizes he should have listened to Louise voicing her concerns all along. And then Kira cuts the lights. Ben makes a Molotov cocktail to try to start a fire to attract attention, but Mike starts shooting at them. And Ben misses his target and hits McAvoy's car, which blows up a few minutes later. Good times. The kids hide in a closet. Ben finds a hammer, and Louise finds some drain cleaner and a fork. Patty goes up to the roof to get into the house, and Kira comes in through the cellar. Patty makes his way to Louise. He couldn't call ahead to schedule because they cut the phone line, but he really wants an appointment. And Dr. Louise is like, "I might be able to utensil you in." And she gets him with the fork. Good times. Patty and Kira meet up, and Aunt coughs. McAvoy hears something and opens up the bathroom closet, but the kids aren't in there. It's a phone with the breathing app from earlier. Louise jumps out and sprays McAvoy in the face, neck, and shoulder with the drain cleaner. She and the kids get away. They run into Mike, but Ben shows up and he and Mike struggle. Louise hits Mike in the head with the hammer, killing him. Man, I can't even say poor Mike. He didn't earn it. They go up on the roof and try to climb down the ladder. Kira shows up, and Louise hits her in the head with a brick, and Kira falls off the roof, breaks her neck, and dies. Unfortunately, they knocked the ladder down when Kira fell, so they're stuck. Ben hangs from the gutter, so he's as low as he can get, and then jumps down. He hurts his leg and limps, but he's able to put the ladder up for his wife and the kids to climb down. Ben tells Agnes to go hide by the car. But Patty McAvoy shows up, and they hear it. The movie does another fake out, like with the phone, but this one isn't planned by one of the characters. They're waiting for Patty to come from behind a corner, and instead it's a fox. Then they hear Patty saying Kira's name behind them and turn around. Patty has Agnes as a hostage, and he says that she's going to replace Kira. That means what Kira said was true. Her death is sad, but she was trying to kill them. Agnes stabs Patty with the syringe that he was going to use to knock her out earlier. They tell Ant to follow them, but Ant smashes McAvoy's head in with a brick first. The family drive off, and Agnes gives Hoppy to the crying Ant in the back seat. I like this movie a lot. It's very well acted, especially Mackenzie Davis and McAvoy, with everyone being believable. As I've mentioned, it's suspenseful. And even though it's such a simple concept of a couple using a kid to lure in a family to kill them and then use their kid for the next family, the pacing and slowly revealing that information are great. It's really obvious when I've explained everything, but the movie is very good with its setups and payoffs. Like the phone app, the box cutter, the syringe, showing that Ant can't swim, and also Ben being upset about Agnes showing up, and then later finding out more about Ben and Louise's problems. It's a good script. I don't know if I can say I love how Patty messes with the family, since it's so fucked up and sadistic, but it is effective. This isn't exactly a fun movie, but I enjoyed seeing it. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around.